Hello everyone, we are Team 4 and today we will be presenting our project idea of how to improve North America's current supply chain management for Pfizer Biotech's COVID-19 booster dose. Before we dive into that, let me introduce you to our team of presenters for today. My name is Kanika Kedia and along with me I have Lubna, Prasanna, Daishen, Sampada and Guan-fu who make up the project team. Here you can see the flow of our presentation. We start with the background information for the company. Next, we will introduce the problem statement, which highlights the need for this project, the current supply chain operations that exist, and our proposed solution for the problem. After that, we will discuss the specifics of the project, such as the scope of the project, our proposed timeline, and lastly, the team's roles and responsibilities. Pfizer Inc. is an American multinational pharmaceutical and research-based biotechnology corporation headquartered in New York City. The company was established in 1849 by two German entrepreneurs, Charles Pfizer and his cousin Charles F. Earhart. They offer products to treat various conditions such as cardiovascular, metabolic, and pain, cancer, inflammation, immune disorders, and rare diseases. The company has grown exponentially since its inception in 1849. In 1882, they opened their first offices outside of the state of New York, in Chicago, Illinois. In 1942, they became a publicly held corporation when 240,000 shares of new common stock were offered to the public, and the company is still currently listed on the New York Stock Exchange. In 1994, they became the largest producer of penicillin, but more recently, Pfizer developed a vaccine for the COVID-19 pandemic and became one of the largest manufacturers of the said vaccine. Today, the company has over 79,000 employees globally and brought in approximately $81.3 billion in revenue in 2021. They own 39 manufacturing sites worldwide, including major manufacturing facilities in India, China, Japan, Ireland, Italy, Belgium, Germany, Singapore, and the US. The graph on the right side of the slide shows the exact locations of these facilities. The company also provides its products in most parts of the world, including North America, South America, Asia Pacific, Australia, Europe, Africa, and the Middle East. Currently, the company is owned around 40% by mutual fund holders, 30% by other institutions, and 0.3% by individual stakeholders. Next, I'm going to pass it off to Lubna to talk about our problem statement.
Hello everyone, this is Lubna. I'll be presenting to you today the problem statement and its relevance to our project. Since the World Health Organization has declared COVID-19 as a global pandemic on March 2020, the world has been trying to control the disease and prevent further spread of the virus. The virus is highly contagious, and pharmaceutical companies had increased pressure to accelerate production of a vaccine and meet the surge worldwide. Pfizer had produced the first FDA-approved COVID vaccine and has aimed to spread that vaccine to cover billions of people worldwide, as Pfizer operates one of the most sophisticated supply chain systems in the industry. However, due to many challenges in the supply chain, there has been shortage in COVID vaccine supply. One of the challenges was lack of vaccine manufacturing components and essential kits. The vaccine consists of approximately 200 components. Some particles used to be sold in milligrams due to their low demand, and now when the pandemic hit suddenly, they were required in hundreds of kilograms, which created a shock in the system. The essential kit for making vaccines has been in short supply as well, and this kit involves filters, plastic pipes, and bioreactors. Another challenge is the poor distribution infrastructure, as distributing the vaccine to other countries and rural areas needs ultra-cold freezers, trucks that are able to withstand the long drives holding those freezers, among many hardships reaching to areas with no electricity and no resources. Challenges to secure adequate global distribution centers has been challenging as well. According to the World Health Organization, as of May 2020, almost 1 billion people in lower-income countries have remained unvaccinated, and only 57 countries have vaccinated 70% of their population. The vaccine has extremely limited shelf life. Even in refrigerated conditions, Pfizer's mRNA vaccine requires to be stored in -80 Celsius degrees ultra-cold freezers. Also challenges to secure adequate global distribution centers due to inefficiencies in supply chain, which has led to shortage of vaccination. Lack of people resources capacity and insufficient training for staff and managers on cold chain equipment inventory management has been one of the obstacles. Pharmaceutical companies need people with the right education and pharma-specific skills who are tasked to manage and monitor cold chain, such as accidental interruption of the storage temperature conditions cause vaccine instability. How is this related to our project? Since we're planning to rapidly decrease the toll of COVID-19 on health and global economy, we have to lead a big vaccination program with efficient and effective planning and operation of the supply chain, which is crucial for the success of the vaccination program. The design of the supply chain determines how effectively any vaccination campaign can be operated and enables a more holistic view of supply and demand flows. Hello everyone, this is Lubna, and I'll be covering the current supply chain operations. So Pfizer's current supply chain consists of 2 phases, a developmental phase and a fulfillment phase. The 5 stages that are being followed for a complete supply chain operation are plan, source, supply, produce, and distribute. Pfizer's current vaccine supply chain has focused on the development supply chain phase by utilizing raw components and as few components as possible to manufacture its vaccine and to accelerate the production. Pfizer has also owned over 40 sites and over 200 suppliers globally, and they have partnered with at least 10 other companies to enable the company to scale up. We have focused to hire and train more staff to provide the operations team with more support and flexibility. And to meet the increasing demand for COVID-19 vaccines, Pfizer had modified facilities for the vaccine formulation and reprioritized capacity. We have as well improved technology to enable rapid facility equipment and process design planning. The graph shows the current supply chain for the COVID-19 vaccine. The vaccine distribution has been globally, and transportation has been via air, ocean, and ground networks. The pharmaceutical-graded equipment and temperature-controlled supply chain to hospitals and other points of administration has been already established. However, we are still having shortage in the supply for the vaccine.
It has been more than 2 years since the break of this pandemic. In some places, the crisis seemed to be over. But just like the Director General of WHO said, the world is not there yet. Even in the United States, some regions are still facing vaccine shortage due to the reason we mentioned above. Not to mention global-wise, there is still a large population, especially in low and middle-income countries, urgently demanding large quantities of vaccine to end their own public health crisis. So we, Pfizer, are here to propose a solution to ease the vaccine shortage and help the world to finish the race with the virus. To address the 6 major problems stated before, our proposed solution will tackle these issues from 2 major directions. The first is to address the extremely limited shelf life of current vaccine products. We will modify our production process so that we could significantly improve the shelf life. In this way, the storage time is expected to reach 30 days at 5 degrees Celsius. And all the costs related to the ultra-cold logistics can also be reduced for both Pfizer and our customers. The rest problems are all supply chain related issues. Our proposed solution includes a big effort to strengthen our supply chain management to meet the global vaccine demand. Specifically, we will improve our production process, which will lead to a more effective utilization of Pfizer's current strategic transportation and storage partners. Other than that, we will help the world to increase its own manufacturing capacities. With these strategies, we will have more distribution sites across the world and maintain a surplus inventory of vaccine to meet any surge demand. Our proposed solution will roll out in 2 phases. In phase 1, the focus is to meet the demand in North America by developing new vaccine production process and practicing new supply chain management strategies. In phase 2, we will leverage the new technology and experience developed in phase 1 and expand it to a global scale to meet the global vaccine demand.
Hello, I'm Prasanna, and I'm going to present the scope of project phase 1 and phase 2. The goal of phase 1 is to meet the COVID-19 vaccine demand of more than 4 billion jabs in North America. So the scope of phase 1 is to eliminate the supply chain bottlenecks in North America, which includes identifying strategic vendors and suppliers, performing proper vendor quality management, procuring raw materials and dispatching finished products with appropriate lead times, and implementing other supply chain management strategies to meet the COVID-19 vaccine demand. The supply demand of other Pfizer products in North America and global supply demand of any Pfizer product, including COVID-19 vaccine, are out of scope of this phase. To successfully implement the phase 1, we have identified certain scope of improvements. Currently, the Pfizer Global Supply Plant in Kalamazoo, Michigan is the only vaccine production facility for the entire North America. So to meet and exceed the target demand, strategic locations in North America will be identified for increased manufacturing capacity. This is an important scope of improvement for this phase. The other scope of improvements include identifying both Pfizer-owned and Pfizer strategic partner distribution centers across the North America to supply our point of use customers. Developing detailed logistic plans and tools to track vaccine transportation and storage, effectively utilizing our Pfizer strategic transportation and distribution partner UPS to ship the vaccines to our point of use customers by air and ground transportation. Use of thermally insulated shipping containers with increased capacity to store the vaccines at 5 degrees Celsius for up to 10 days. Tracking the location and temperature of each vaccine shipment container using GPS-enabled temperature sensors, and training Pfizer personnel across North America to utilize and implement these strategies based on FDA and WHO guidance and Pfizer SOPs to manufacture and distribute the vaccines. Next, for the phase 2, the goal is to meet the COVID-19 vaccine demand of 21 billion jabs across the globe. The scope of phase 2 is similar to phase 1, but the strategy's implementation will be as per the country-level norms and regulations and logistics feasibility. The global supply demand of Pfizer products other than the COVID-19 vaccine will be out of scope of this phase. As said earlier, the scope of improvements for phase 2 are similar to phase 1, but executed on a global scale as per the country-level norms and regulations and global logistics feasibility. But the primary scope of improvement of this phase is to identify strategic manufacturing locations across the globe for vaccine production and identifying strategic distribution centers within the country of production and the neighboring countries. For example, improving our fill and finish capacity in the production sites in India helps us to meet the demand in Africa and South Asia. And improvements in the production site in Germany can help us meet the demand for the entire Europe. Also, by waiving the part of the intellectual property rights can help us improve the infrastructure for manufacturing and distribution within the countries like Brazil and South Africa.
Hello, I'm Sampada and I'm going to walk you through the project timeline. Thanks Daishen and Prasanna for a quick overview in the project scope as well as the proposed solution. Diving right into the project timeline now. In order to be able to kick off the project on the 19th of September 2022 and embark on the supply chain journey, it's important we understand that there are multiple prerequisites that need to be completed. To begin with, it's important we identify the project scope. As seen in previous slides, we have the scope defined of the project already. Then the follow-up step is to identify the stakeholders of the project and to figure out what the baseline schedule and budget of the project is going to be. In addition to these details, it's important to find out what the resourcing and staffing of the project is going to look like, followed by identification of risks, assumptions, and constraints, and the reporting requirements, which are going to be followed throughout the duration of the project, as well as the sign-off of the project charter. Once all these prerequisites are met, then we can have a project kickoff on the 19th of September. Moving on to the next slide, which talks about our supply chain time. The timeline below highlights the process flow to drive the supply chain project for North America with the duration of 3 months. The first phase is this entire timeline is sourcing of raw materials to basically procure the raw materials that will be used in the production of vaccination, which dives into the deployment phase of it. Sourcing of raw materials and deployment phases are going to be about 6 weeks of the entire project. This is followed by the cold chain and supply strategy phase. We have 3 different steps in cold chain and strategy phases: logistics, demand and planning, warehousing, and distribution. The first step is logistics, where we identify it from production to warehousing, if it needs to be by air or by land, and we also identify the logistical equipment. The second step in this phase is demand and planning, to identify the dose demand to increase performance of our supply chain project. Finally, we have warehousing and distribution, to determine storage conditions and identify distribution channels and partners. This entire phase is going to last for about 4 to 5 weeks, with demand and planning, strategy and operations, that is going to be an ongoing part of the entire project. The final phase is delivery to the end user, that is the consumer. So the delivery has been done to the end user through distribution channel, and then the last step is monitoring the vaccination consumption to estimate demand and supply to improve the overall supply chain of the project. To look at the timeline, it begins on the 20th of the September and it wraps up in last week of December. This is how we are going through the 3 months of the duration of this project. Moving on to the next part.
Hi, this is Guan-fu, and I'm going to talk about our team's roles and responsibilities. And first one, our team role including project manager and researcher and developers and freezer and local supplier lead and supply chain analyst and delivery team lead and project team lead. And the responsibility for project manager including deliver the successful completion of the project and develop project plan and keep track on deliverables according to our plans. Also, they need to communicate with management and other roles in our teams. And the second roles is researchers and developer who need to develop and research on methods of delivering vaccine according to different phases. And for freezer and local supplier lead, their responsibility including keep monitoring product status, and they need to make sure products are protected and well stored under a stable temperature and environment. And the responsibilities for supply chain analyst is analyze data and methods to predict and improve the delivery of products and services, and they need to make sure it runs efficiently and ensure a profit. And for delivery team lead, who need to make sure that delivery process is on schedule and the products are well stored during transportation. And the last role is project team lead, who need to regularly communicate with project manager for special update and schedule update and resolve issues and problems which may occur during our process. And next part is our Q&A time, and let us know if you have any questions and any any concern about our project. And the last part is our references. And that's it. It's our supply chain management for Pfizer booster. Thank you for listening.